And well, for more on this, we are now being joined live by Dr. Avner Cohen, live from California. He's the professor of non-proliferation and terrorism studies at the Middlebury Institute and also a West Asia expert. Welcome to WION, Dr. Cohen.
My pleasure.
Dr. Cohen, the question in everybody's mind right now is what comes next? Biden said that it is a moment of risk and uncertainty. Do you share that sentiment? And also talk to us about how the fall of Assad regime in Syria affects the regional balance, the complexion in West Asia.
Well, Syria has been a fault line, and the collapse or the eruption of that fault line so quickly is quite remarkable. It's quite exceptional. And the question is where the remains going to fall. There could be all sorts of possibilities. Syria is a very complex country from ethnographical point of view, from demographic point of view. It's a federation of a lot of Arabs, a lot of minorities within the overall Sunnis majority. And what's going to be the future of Syria? Syria itself was created as an artificial entity after the end of World War I on the ashes of the Ottoman Empire. Modern Syria was held by two strong men, the Hafiz al-Assad and his son Bashar, in the last 54 years. Both of them were called the Butcher of Damascus. How Syria is going to be organized now in the relation between religious and secular, between the various components, the various constituents, it's a very, very big question. It will take months, if not years, to settle in a way. It's clear that it's the major collapse of the Shiite axis run by Iran, but how it's going to, what's going to replace it, how it's going to be rearranged, it's an open question.
Right.
I do expect that, just to finish, that some kind of effort, international effort, possibly run by France and other involved countries, the Arab Leagues, United Arab Emirates, possibly Saudi Arabia. In other words, coalition of strong countries from the region outside will try to bring together all those elements until now being called the opposition, which are so many of them, to try to work out some kind of a new constitution and a new country called Syria.
Right, and it's interesting you mentioned international elements because, of course, there are a lot of powers that had their base. For example, Russia had its military bases right now. Now that we have Assad who has fled to Moscow, how do you think Russia will try and settle down his bases there? And, of course, how will Turkey react?
I think those bases will be soon evacuated. I assume that Russia will make a very strong warning that the safety of those bases must be held, and anybody who would dare to attack or to intervene there would be consequences. But with the gone of Assad, I think that Russia has nothing to do there. It will take time until some kind of stable coalition of elements will be settled. And I think that the Russian clear, given their war in Ukraine, they will be living, I assume, and I think it will be very fast.
Dr. Cohen, you do speak of how it's not going to be easy for the rebels to govern Syria post-Assad regime. If you can just outline and talk to us about the challenges that the rebels face in governing Syria, because we also know that the HTS and the SNA, the Syrian National Army, they both also face challenges within themselves. So how do you see things panning out moving forward in Syria?
It's very difficult to say. It's coalitions of number of large organizations and tens of smaller organizations, local, various ethnicities, the Druze, the Cherkess, the Alawite, who were not opposite, but now they're going to try to have a voice of their own with the demise of Assad. It's all sorts of elements in Syria that will have to, whether it will be through some kind of coalition, some kind of constitution that would create a new Syria with some sort of confederation with relatively autonomous districts or regions. It's difficult to say. Aleppo, that used to be a very strong during the Ottoman Empire, actually it's even larger than the capital, Damascus, is very strong. It has been destroyed by the Russians in 2016. So it will require a great deal of negotiation between all those elements. And it's very, very difficult to predict how it will go. And I think they need a great deal of guidance and support from other strong powers from the region and from outside the region.
Right. Do you think that this might lead to another tensions? Because we know that Israeli Prime Minister Netanyahu has ordered the seizure of the UN patrol buffer zone in the Golan Heights. And of course, he said that the agreement with Syria is no longer valid. Do you think tensions can rise there?
I think it was primarily an effort to seize opportunity. And in particular, as you know, Israel has bombed today some at least 100 sorties of various residues of weapons, stockpiles of ammunition, in particular chemical weapons and the like, to take sure that those weapons would not fall into hostile elements to Israel. I think that at the same time, the Israeli would look for some kind of connections. They have some with the Druze, they have some with the Kurds in the northeast, and they will try to explore in order to end this Shiite axis run by Iran, to try to cooperate and to find a way. But those kind of connections, you cannot do it overnight. It will take time. So I think Israel wanted to restore and to create a certain sense of deterrence, to establish its strong presence in the region, but at the same time to explore ways of cooperation with many other elements within the new Syria that is going to evolve.
Right. That's really interesting. And of course, the developments do come in. And of course, we have to see how Syria does take part and how the political situation turns out. But thank you so much, Dr. Ravin Cohen, to join us.
Thank you very much.
Perspective.